You just don't want to be told two different sides of a story.
Many longtime Jersey Shore viewers already know that JWoww and Mike privately had something romantic between them off screen.
Try to become better, not bitter.
But because of how the show was edited, MTV never aired the full story. So what actually went down between Mike and JWoww behind the scenes? The truth about their secret history together and why it was completely covered up is seriously insane. So let's get into it. A few years ago, a former producer from Jersey Shore anonymously answered questions on an Ask Me Anything thread on Reddit. Users in the show's subreddit discovered so many previously unknown details about the series, but some of the most intriguing tidbits were about what happened between Mike and JWoww. It turns out that the ex-crew member had been both a field and a story producer for the show. That meant that they had directly worked with all of the content that had been filmed, but they had also helped to decide how the footage was supposed to be edited into storylines. So basically, the former producer knew almost everything about the cast members and what had happened behind the scenes. And what they revealed in their responses was absolutely crazy. Believe it or not, JWoww and Mike truly did have a fling in season 1 that we never got to see. A lot of people previously speculated that they had probably just shared a quick kiss off camera. But the truth about Mike and JWoww that the ex-producer exposed in the Reddit thread was honestly shocking. When filming first started for season 1 of Jersey Shore, JWoww and Pauly D hit it off immediately. There was so much chemistry between them and they were constantly flirting.
You don't understand how bad I'm on you.
According to the former producer, that's why the editing crew decided to create the storyline involving JWoww and Pauly. The producers liked the way they looked together, so they stuck with it. But what ended up happening behind the scenes was totally unexpected. On the show, we saw that JWoww and Pauly almost had a very private, intimate night together, if you know what I mean. But that didn't quite happen, supposedly because JWoww was already in a relationship with her then-boyfriend Tom Lapolis. Viewers were under the impression that JWoww felt so guilty for kissing Pauly because she had betrayed Tom. At the time, she claimed that she didn't want to do anything to risk losing him from her life. But what she did off camera with Mike was truly unbelievable. The ex-producer admitted that JWoww and Mike shared a similar experience to what she and Pauly went through, but apparently Mike and JWoww's encounter ended up causing a surprising amount of drama. Allegedly, JWoww was much more focused on chasing after Mike when she was under the influence, but like we saw, he wasn't exactly ready to commit to anyone. However, even though Mike never put much effort into pursuing JWoww, he was interested in someone else. This is where things took a ridiculously messy turn. Before Sammi started dating Ronnie, she and Mike were pretty flirty with each other.
So we good together, you know?
We've always been good together.
That really bothered JWoww because she had already caught feelings for Mike. In turn, she had it out for her shore mate. She couldn't stand that Mike showed more genuine interest in Sammi than her. But that's not the only time JWoww's envy created serious tension. The former producer also revealed that by keeping JWoww and Mike's fling off camera, her extreme jealousy was definitely downplayed in the final edit. When she hit him a few times during episode 7, the context that was portrayed on screen was actually so different from reality. At first, it seemed like JWoww was mainly upset because Mike wouldn't leave the club with her to make sure she got home safely. But looking back, her reaction was obviously way more intense than that should have ever warranted. JWoww had threatened to fight the woman that Mike was hanging out with, and she even slapped the back of his head. And when she was escorted out of the club for getting aggressive with Mike, she started to become completely unhinged. But it turns out that JWoww wasn't actually furious with Mike just because he hadn't helped her get back home. The real reason she went after him that night and hit him incredibly hard in the face was absolutely bizarre. Even though JWoww was dating Tom at the time, she was so angry that Mike had chosen to stay at the club with another woman. But according to the ex-producer, JWoww's relationship was one of the biggest reasons why Mike didn't want to actively pursue anything with her. JWoww allegedly refused to stop trying with Mike right away because she thought that he would eventually be interested in her. But the former producer claimed that Mike was turned off by how often JWoww would talk about her boyfriend. That's very understandable. But thankfully for the producers, Pauly didn't have an issue with JWoww having a boyfriend already. Maybe the final edit would have been different if Mike had actually been interested in pursuing a relationship with JWoww. It's honestly crazy how Mike and JWoww's romantic ordeal was cut out of the show's final edit by producers. But the reasons why they decided to leave all of that out are so insane. The ex-producer shared that what happened between Mike and JWoww just didn't make sense with their original plan. The production team pretty much knew from the start that they wanted to have a storyline about JWoww and Pauly. But that wasn't all. The former producer also said that if everything between JWoww and Mike had been left in the final edit, it would have made things too complicated. So if JWoww and Mike's fling had been shown on Jersey Shore, there would have been too much drama to follow. Even though that might seem hard to believe, apparently the producers wanted to be sure that viewers would be easily hooked. But there's still another reason that's been reported for why JWoww and Mike's secret history together got left out of the show. In 2011, Angelina actually spilled the tea about Mike and JWoww during an interview.
JWoww hooked up with Mike and nobody ever knew about it.
But she made it sound like JWoww had persuaded the producers not to air her romance with Mike.
Yeah, she hooked up. They never aired that because, they actually saved her relationship with her boyfriend Tom at the time.
But if that were the case, why would JWoww have allowed what happened with Pauly to be shown on national TV? That is, unless there was actually more that happened between her and Mike than what has been revealed so far. That would make sense. After all, JWoww did seem to have major feelings for Mike pretty early early on in the season. Maybe someday she'll finally expose everything that happened behind the scenes, but for now, at least we know that Mike and JWoww really did have something secretly going on between them. It's bizarre how the producer's decision to keep JWoww and Mike's fling off camera changed so much. In the final edit, the context of certain scenes was different, and an entire storyline was even affected. But there's also something else that was impacted. The opinion that viewers formed of JWoww in season 1 would have probably been so much different if her situation with Mike hadn't been left out. Obviously, she hadn't originally been portrayed as being totally innocent or helpless, but there was a lot of potential negativity cut out of the final edit. I have a feeling that JWoww would have ended up with a bad reputation of being unbearably jealous. Not only that, but her hypocrisy regarding wanting Mike all to herself, while also being in a relationship with Tom, would have been exposed as well. All of that, combined with her impulsive reactions and violent outbursts, would have probably tanked most people's overall opinion of JWoww right away. When it comes to how she handles her emotions and responds to situations now, she's definitely come a long way. Thankfully, JWoww and Mike were able to work through the messy parts of their history together. They'll probably never reveal all of the dramatic details surrounding their brief secret romance, especially because they usually seem to get along so well as friends. But at least some of the reactions and scenes from the first season finally make a little more sense. Now that we've talked about what exactly happened between Mike and JWoww, I want to know what you guys think. Are you surprised by the former producer's revelations about what really happened behind the scenes? Do you see JWoww or Mike in a different light now that you know the details of their past fling? Let me know in the comments below.